All right, everybody, welcome to the 2 p.m. Sales Espresso Shot webinar series. Today, we're going to determine if you're coachable or not. All right. It's a really interesting session today. It's going to be something that we're going to have to really kind of look inwards on ourselves, as opposed to looking inward on someone else, I guess. But anyway, you know what I mean. Are you coachable? It's a big, big question we have to ask ourselves. But before we dive into it, as always, welcome to all the first timers. My name is Skip Wilcox, founder and CEO of Kairos Sales Group, where we do sales and business development training for mortgage professionals, real estate professionals, and the like. If I'm not connected with you already, please take a minute, scan that QR code, and connect with me on LinkedIn, other social media, or wherever else. That is me, as you can tell, a little bit better dressed. I'm in my hoodie today because I'm working from home. So, you know what? Tough. Also behind me, it's Georgia Bulldog football, Green Bay Packer football. Am I from Green Bay? No, I am from Georgia, but I'm a Packers fan. That's a different story for a different day. All right. So let's get right into it because, as we know, it's 15 minutes or less, and we're already 1 minute into it. All right. So, guys, why does coachability even matter? Well, it's really simple. In every industry, no matter what it is, the top performers all share one specific trait. They are exceptionally coachable. Now, I don't care if this is in sales, I don't care if it's in sports, it doesn't matter. All the top performers share this. And the reason being is because they have the strongest ability to adapt to change. Because if you are stagnant, you are going to be falling behind, right? And all this kind of comes back to feedback. And I'm not necessarily just talking about the kind of thing that we see like with your annual review, though that can be one of it. Well, one method. I'm just talking about feedback day in and day out. Listening to your customers, give you feedback, coworkers, everything. Take it in. They use it. They don't just accept it all and try and do it all. They also, on the flip side, don't shut it all out. Instead, they see it, they receive it, they sort through it, and use the pieces that are necessary to fuel their growth. They don't get defensive about it. And that is a big, big problem for a lot of people. And full disclosure, me too. I have to work very hard at receiving feedback because I do tend to get defensive about it. It's something that I've had to work on for years, and I've gotten a lot better at it. So it's something that we have to practice. But keep that in mind, okay? Because our market, as we all know, in mortgage and real estate, banking, whatever particular avenue that you're in, our market demands adaptability. What worked yesterday, what worked 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is not going to get you where you need to be today. That is a fact, and we've got to accept it. And the most coachable people are those that are going to be able to adjust and adapt faster and more effectively than those who don't. Good news is that coachability is something that we can really improve on. What does it really mean, though? We know why it's important, right? What's it even really mean? Because that it's a term, it's a buzzword now, right? Uh, so essentially, it means a couple of key things. One is a willingness to learn, and more importantly, at least in my opinion, to unlearn. All right, we've got to get out of our bad habits. For those mortgage folks on the call today, I always like to use the example whenever we're talking about learning and unlearning about our compliance piece of it. Just take it from the old good faith estimate to the 3 pager, then to the now we've got the TRID. It's the whole thing, the whole thing. I mean, if you've been in the business longer than 10, what year is this? 10, 15 years, you've had to go through three major compliance disclosure changes that we've had to unlearn old habits and learn new ones. The easier and faster that we can adapt to those changes, the more effective our approach and our business can be. All right. But we have got to be willing to learn. And as I mentioned a minute ago, an openness to feedback, getting getting feedback without being defensive. And these are opportunities. Even if the person giving you the feedback just pisses you off royally, you don't like them, you know what? That's okay. a lot of times, even if we don't like the person, that does not necessarily mean that what they have to say is any less valuable. And quite frankly, a lot of times they tend to see the worst in us. So maybe we can use that to help identify things we really need to improve on. You know, the point is, don't shut it out. All right. Always accept feedback willingly. And this is a big one, a commitment to action or a commitment to change. All right, just moving past the, yeah, you're right. I really do need to do that. Or okay, I'm hearing what you're saying. It's actually trying to implement and perform those changes. If you are consistently struggling with something, interacting with your borrowers, or you have a recurring problem and someone observes it and gives you a suggestion to try and alleviate that problem, you can't just say, yeah, that's probably a good idea. You've got to actually say, all right, in my next handful of interactions, I'm going to try new strategy X, Y, or Z to see if that makes a difference. So you've got to have a commitment to action. And on the flip side of that, I don't have it. Here's a slide, but you've got to be sure that it's consistent and that you give change a fair chance too. You can't just say, well, I tried it one time, it didn't work out, I'm not going to do it anymore. That's really not how this works in most regards. All right. And this is a big one, professional humility, right? Recognizing your knowledge gaps and say, hey, I don't know everything. And leaning on those people who may have a different perspective or different knowledge base than you do. Don't feel threatened because someone might know more about a particular topic than you. I've been in this business 22 years and I don't, I've got a pretty solid knowledge base, y'all, but I don't know anywhere close to everything about all aspects of this industry. I just don't. And so I love hearing from people that know more than I do. It's really cool. So, all right. So that's what it really means to be coachable. On the flip side of that, traits of the uncoachable. Dun dun dun. All right. The I already know that mindset. In sales training, it's kind of funny. A lot of what I do is not it's not a novel concept, right? It's not I'm not splitting the atom. I'm also not doing anything that's a brand new idea or concept. A lot of what I do is reinforcing things that frankly somebody has already been exposed to in the past. I hope to expose them to it in a way that's more effective and takes hold. But we come across the I already know that mindset a lot because yeah, you may already know it. Then of course the question would be, then why aren't you doing it? That's a different topic, right? So we've got to get past that because if you already know it, why aren't you doing it? You may not really know as much as you think you do, right? Blame game. That's another big one. Attributing all these challenges to external factors. Oh, my pipeline sucks. It's got to be because of the market. It's got to be because my company gives me crappy leads, or my rates aren't as good. My competitors are stronger. They do it cheaper. Whatever the case is. You know what? There are top producers out here, even in the last several years, closing tens of millions of dollars in transactions. You think they're really focusing on all that? No, it's because they are not playing the blame game. And instead, they're falling back on their strengths and improving things that they can control. All right. Resistance to accountability. Again, this is kind of a running theme throughout the whole piece here. Um, you got to be sure that you are measuring and tracking and having a way to gauge progress, right? It kind of goes with the I know everything mindset. It kind of goes with all that. If we're not really willing to see it and put it down, how do we really know? It's easy for us to be comfortable in our head if we don't see that we're not really doing what we're supposed to be doing, getting where we want to go. And a lot of times people use this as a way to maintain the status quo. Shortcut seeking, that's a big one too. Looking for quick fixes. There's no magic pill, and we've got to have a consistent effort. All right, so real quick, just a self check. Think about it for just a second. Take an honest inventory of your coachability by asking yourself these key questions based off what we've just covered. Do you actively invite feedback? Do you apply the advice that's given to you consistently? Not just one time, consistently. All right. Do you track the impact of those changes and adjustments? And do you have challenging voices, people that will actually hold you accountable or push you or give you some advice or tell you instead of what you want to hear, what you need to hear? Do you have those? Ask yourself those questions. And, if you can say yes to all those, odds are you're probably pretty coachable. If you've got three out of the four, very coachable. If you got two, maybe. But if you only got one, we got some work to do. But guess what? Funny enough, I can help you with that. But guys, just think about this as you're going through your day. Benefits are pretty clear. You've got an exponentially higher growth rate. You get tremendously more referrals. You may be saying, Skip, how does that come across? Well, it's simple. You're adapting and you're changing your business to new challenges, and so that instead of having your referral percentage drop off or stay steady, it actually increases because you are changing with the times. Okay. And you've got 3.2 times more market resilience. Coachable salespeople simply are more likely to maintain their performance. They avoid that roller coaster ride of volume month in and month out because they don't rely and excuse themselves due to economic and market changes. Very simple. Uh, Continuous or evolvement. Evolving is one of the key concepts here. Always be improving, even if it's just a little bit. Those of you out there that have read the book Atomic Habits goes into really, really great detail about that. Fantastic book, by the way, if y'all haven't read it. Talks about being just 1% better. We don't have to make big sweeping changes. That doesn't mean that you're coachable. Changing the little things here and there. I'm a big baseball guy, obviously a football guy. You know, if someone's having trouble at the plate, you don't try and change their entire swing. You look for small nuances and small changes to try and adjust and tweak to see if you can get them on the right track. All right. Think about it that way. All right. So, ways to increase it. We've got 3 minutes left because I always guarantee 15 minutes or less. All right. Ask for specific feedback. If you're sitting there and you're getting general feedback, push the person a little bit to give you something specific that you can use as an actionable piece, right? As always, you should listen more than you talk. If you find yourself talking when you're receiving feedback, odds are you're probably being a little defensive. Listen more than you talk. Implement it quickly. Don't dwell on it. Don't think too much about it. Start trying to change soon. The sooner you do it, the fresher it is in your head, and the more likely you are to be able to make an impact. And as we mentioned before, measure, refine, repeat, and adjust. All right. That is how you increase it. This all has to do with making yourself more adaptable. All right. So your coachability challenge. We've had the four questions. Now what? The difference between knowing or between knowing and growing is action, right? That's the biggest gap. That's the biggest gap. So do something within 24 hours. If you ask for specific feedback regarding a specific task, make an adjustment quickly. Just one area, something small. It can be anything having to do with work, home, whatever. Something that you can do just a little bit differently to make it more impactful and more effective. All right. As I mentioned before, find a truth teller. Find someone that tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You don't need a yes man. A yes man does not help you grow. Okay. And I know this is a repetitive piece here, but that's because I want to drive it home really, really quickly. You got to do it fast and you got to document. All right, guys, 2:14, 1 minute to spare. Thank you so much. I know we covered a ton of stuff and we can go into a lot more detail about this. I mean, we can do a whole workshop just on that, but I hope this helps you ask yourself some questions about being more coachable. If you want more information or have questions about anything we covered, please let me know. And again, if you have not connected with me, please scan the QR code, do so there. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day.